Thank you for listening to this PodcastOne production. Now available on Apple Podcasts, PodcastOne, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.
PodcastOne presents the Steve Austin Show Classics.
Man, I'm sitting here at 316 Gimmick Street with Easton Corbin and Chris Tate, his manager. We've been sitting here talking for an hour and a half. We just got back from the gym.
That was a lot of stuff we could have put on here, man.
Well, half the stuff we couldn't talk about.
That's true. Yeah. That's true.
Hey, man, before we get out of the gate, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, you guys are on the road right now, and you're touring with Carrie Underwood. So something happened last night in Stockton. Tell me the story. Because, hey, man, we don't know your history. You're one of my favorite country artists.
Thank you, brother.
Let's tell some stories today. What happened last night in Stockton?
I tell you what, man. Like you said, it's my birthday yesterday, and I usually go out every night. I go out and do a song with Carrie. We do Fishing in the Dark and the Swan Brothers. So what you do, you go under the stage, and they got what do they call a lift or something? You know, you come up in the middle of the stage, elevator, whatever they call it, and you know the usual deal. I come up there, she introduces me, and you know count in, and I start the second verse of Fishing in the Dark. Well, this time I started the verse, but everybody just quit playing, and it went quiet, and I'm like, and she started singing Happy Birthday. The whole arena did, and trust me, I was pretty blown away by it because, you know, that's a big production out there. I was like, man, they ain't going to stop something like that for, you know, something silly like singing the Happy Birthday. But they sure did, man. It was a surprise.
So you're 34 now.
I'm getting old, man.
Dude,
well, road
years,
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
road years is different than kind of like dog years, you know.
Well, let's talk about dog years because I was telling a couple of stories. I looked at East and Chris. I said, "Hey, man, I was a Crown Royal guy." He said, "That's your drink."
I do like some Crown Royal. I hope my grandma ain't listening to this.
Hey, but we're gonna hang out later tonight. You guys, we're gonna go down to the tour bus because tomorrow, I don't know when this podcast is gonna drop, but you guys are heading over to
Phoenix.
Phoenix, and what's after Phoenix? Because y'all got a run going down through Texas.
We do. We Phoenix, then Las Cruces, and then
San
Antonio, and then Houston. And then we got a day or two off, and then we actually come back. I think to Bossier City, and
Tulsa or Fort Worth. After that,
Lafayette, Louisiana, don't we?
And then Lafayette.
Yeah.
Dude, living on the road, I looked at last time I came down and talked to you guys. Everybody's looking pretty fit. Here's the thing. Easton rolled into town.
Today.
Chris said, "Hey, man, we're going to go get a workout in. You got any gyms you recommend?" I said, "Yeah, I can tell you, take you where I train at. I can come get you guys and all that." So we went into the gym, and I got a blown out shoulder. I can only train one arm, so I didn't do nothing to begin with. And then Easton walked around a little bit, made some phone calls, and got on the treadmill. Yeah. I think he picked up a 30-pound dumbbell. Chris,
come on, 40. Give me 40.
40. At least. Did you do anything?
I did a little bit, man. I was feeling pretty rough. I let's just say I celebrated my birthday a little too.
It was a late night.
It was a late night.
What did y'all do? Did y'all just come over from Stockton on the ride and party or what?
Well, we actually hung out there till about 2 o'clock in the morning. Swan Brothers came over, and we all got together and was picking and sang a little bit.
One of the Swan Brothers come over. Tell me about the Swan Brothers. Smarten me up to one of these guys because one of them come over and y'all wanted me to go over to the other bus and give him hell because he's wearing some skinny jeans.
Yeah, you know, I just think I never warmed up to the skinny jeans thing.
Hey, well, I'm not a skinny jeans type of guy. Yeah. I don't think you could pry me into a pair of skinny jeans with a crowbar and some KY jelly. Ain't gonna fit on my fat ass.
Sometimes I feel like a grown man ought not to wear skinny jeans.
But that seems to be the way the world's heading, Easton. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I'll stick to my Wranglers.
That's right.
My Wranglers and boots. Right?
Chris, you down with the skinny jeans?
No, I won't. I get mad.
Dude, I was at a car wash the other day. That's straight up truth. Well, it was a car wash, but it doesn't.
But the Swan Brothers are good boys. So
okay, we'll put them over.
Hey, bless their heart.
Bless their heart.
Bless their heart. They just can't dress.
I give them a hard time, man.
They sure can sing.
They can sure sing, though.
So what are we going to do tonight? Are we going to celebrate your birthday again?
Hell yeah,
because
man.
You said you got some people coming over, or just going to be everybody from the band? What?
Well, they wasn't coming with us, but the Swan Brothers, but they decided to follow along, and on a day off. So we're going to sit out by a fire and pick and sing, man. Of course, I like to do that all the time, you know, because we don't get to sing a lot of that old country and stuff. And we got some guys in our band; they're pretty good at it.
Okay, man, we was at the store, and we were sitting there by a couple of barbell racks, and we was telling Keith Whitley stories. And you had a couple of Keith Whitley stories. I don't know if you care to share them, but, man, I was just a huge fan of that guy. We was talking about a change in the system. Was you a big Keith fan?
Oh, absolutely. He's one of my favorites. And, you know, you say that. My producer, Carson Chamberlain, him and Keith were like brothers. So, the stories that Carson has, man, are pretty.
He played steel for him.
He did. He played steel for him, steel guitar, and
tour
managed and for him and did all that stuff. And it's pretty amazing, the history there, just to hear him talk and tell those stories about Keith, because he's one of my heroes,
Yeah, it's funny you talk about how, like, back in the day in your business, how it rolled, and then, we hear stories about the guys like that, and now Haggard that we've lost, or how they rolled.
Let's talk about Merle for a second, because I know you're a huge Merle fan, as I am.
I'll tell you, my three favorites, favorites and heroes was Merle Haggard, Keith Whitley, and George Jones. And after Merle died the other day, I told Brian, my guitar player, I said, man, it's all over. He said, what are you talking about? I said, man, you know what I'm talking about. Like, the real, to me, the real classic country singers, there are none to me anymore. I mean, I know there's Willie and stuff out there, but to me, like, my heroes, they're all gone,
Mm-hmm. But you brought up an interesting fact. Now there's going to be a whole, well, for the future generation. Well, there's a lot of people listening to country music right now.
Sure.
Whatever country music is today, I've never heard of Merle Haggard.
That's the thing, we were talking about before, and, there's a generation of kids, that, this whole new sound, the Florida Georgia Line thing, and good for those guys. That's, good for them, and it's what we're all trying to do, find a niche there. But, those guys, if you think about it, they've been out 4 or 5 years now, so there's, like, kids growing up that's all they know is that type of country music, and they have no idea, like, who the Merle Haggards are, the George Jones, the foundation of our business.
The audience has become so young. It's like, there's a new talent. He's great. I mean, he's just winning all the awards. Chris Stapleton, he's a phenomenal singer and talent. And he did a song called Tennessee Whiskey, which actually is a George Jones
song.
We've run across a lot of young fans that they think he wrote it.
They think he wrote it, and they have
it's a new
clue,
song,
man.
Yeah,
it's a new song.
And it's new.
That's a funny thing about it. It's like, no, that song's been out for 30 years.
But that's good in a way that it's introducing.
To me, it's good the fact that they dig it.
Yeah,
it is right because it is introducing the younger generation to that.
Hey, this is a great song. Well, we didn't know it was recorded over 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all are hearing the blower in the background. It's Wednesday. I got one of my favorite country music singers here, and the blowers don't stop. This is my family-friendly show, but God dang,
this is another
bullshit.
way of him saying this blows.
Yeah.
You mentioned a while ago while we was at the gym, and I did like 3 sets of one-arm dumbbell press with 30 pounds, and I did a heavy set with 35. But you said you busted out a Merle Haggard song, and people didn't really know what to think because I don't know if they recognized it or they just wanted to hear your tune specifically. What was up?
Well, I think, a lot of that goes back to the crowd. It gets younger, and a lot of people just don't, they didn't grow up listening to that, When you got the young kids out there, they just have never been exposed to that. So they really don't know who that is, a lot of kids, But that's the cool thing about, like, especially when we play. Well, there's always people that know who that is, but, as the generations get younger and younger, the audience gets younger and younger, there's less of those people that know who those guys are.
And that's the one thing, I've noticed, like, with George passing away here and Merle, is that it's cool and it is unfortunate, but what's cool is the fact that, now, like, these people are recognizing their music, and that's how the younger audience is learning about them. Like people are doing, like, there's been a lot of tributes to Merle over the last few days from artists that are out now and, with young fans, and that's the only way they're getting exposed to that music. So it's kind of cool because in a sense, it's a way of it living on,
I was talking to you at the gym, Easton, and I said, dude, man, what are you listening to these days? Because with your background, with your roots, what do you listen to?
I do listen to a lot of stuff, but
because I do on my gym stuff on my Pandora that I pay $2.99. I'll pay the $2.99 just so I can eliminate all the commercials. If I'm at the gym, I just want to listen to music. Dude, I'm trapped in the 80s and 90s from my rock and roll stuff, and so with my country, I am too.
Yeah,
and you're like one of the few newer acts, and I've been a fan of yours since album 1.
Thank you, man.
So, dude, that's where I'm stuck.
Yeah.
So where are you at 34?
The 80s and 90s stuff, I loved all that stuff. And, man, I'm all in there as far as from, like I said, to George Jones and Keith Whitmer Earl and all those guys. And I love Elvis, so I like some Elvis radio too, things like that. But
Ronnie Millsap.
I love Ronnie. All those guys in there, they're so great. Down even to like Restless Heart and Little Texas, man, that stuff is so good. Just great.
But, dude, I was talking to you last time I came and talked to you when you was in town. And like a dude like Darryl Singletary, for me, the dude can still belt out a tune. But if you cross over a certain age gap, you can't get played on country music radio. I'm not trying to get you to, pitch a fit here, but help me out and help me understand this. Cause what's up with Nashville? I mean, Singletary can still sing his ass off.
Well, in that business, especially in the entertainment business, as you know, a lot of times it's becoming younger and younger. And I guess that's
right.
just a trend,
That's the demo, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
I guess I answered my own question. We kind of agree upon the same thing.
Yeah.
But let me take a swig of beer here. Hey, here's the thing, man. We just got back from an excruciating workout over at the gym I train at. And I said, man, I'm going to have a beer because I'm going to go over and listen to Easton guys, pull out some guitars and do their thing. And I'm going to drink later. But right now I was thirsty for a beer. And they said, oh, you going to drink your beer? And I said, yeah. And so I'm drinking a Broken Skull IPA. Let me get a plug in for the beer. And Easton's going to start later on tonight. And, man, he didn't quite dig a beer. I think it was too bitter for him.
Well,
what's the final verdict on the beer? No, be straight, man.
No,
you ain't got to put it over.
I'm not a beer guy, though. So I'm not the guy to be judging beer. Trust me. I'm not the beer guy.
There'll be plenty of judges tonight.
Yeah, there'll be plenty of judges tonight, I promise you.
Well, I told my wife if she was going by the grocery store to bring some groceries home, I said, hey, we call this liquor store. I don't want to say the name of it. I give away my location over here at 316 Gimmick Street. I said, stop by the liquor store and pick up as many of my beers as they got. And they only had one left. And I said, well, now I'm going to make a trip down to El Segundo to bring some for you guys to drink. But here's the thing, man. I got into the beer business, and Easton was asking me today at the gym. He goes, man, well, tell me about getting into the beer or the liquor business. I said, well, it was interesting. For me, just all the stars lined up. And we were able to get in business with El Segundo, who makes some of the best IPAs in the United States. And, I can't say that I'm really making any money in the beer business because I think I'm drinking all the profits. Ever since I come out with this beer, I've gained gained 10 or 12 pounds.
A lot of samples.
Dude, I got to talk to the owner.
Well, you got to do research.
Yeah.
But see, here's the thing. Research was done. Now I'm just enjoying the fact that I got a beer with my name on it. You know what the biggest thrill was for me was a couple of weeks ago. You guys were on the road. Y'all were in concert. Y'all didn't get a chance to see WrestleMania 32, did you?
No, but I heard about it.
Yep.
God dang it. I went out there and we did a little bit of business. I got to catch a couple of beers, and finally, after catching all the light beers that I caught for all those years, and swig a beer to any light beer drinker in the world, but now I'm in the craft beer thing for me to be catching some Broken Skull IPAs from El Segundo Brewing Company, it was a throw of a lifetime. For me, that was the highlight. Now, I was out there with Shawn Michaels, HBK, and Mankind, Mick Foley, one of my old travel partners, and good friends out there with the New Day and the League of Nations and doing business. And I tell you what, man, walking out in front of 100,000 people and getting that response and dropping a couple people some stunners, and then catching my own beer was a pretty good thrill, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
So is Crown Royal going to sign on and be a sponsor of the damn Easton Corbin platform?
Hey, that'd be awesome.
Hey.
Heck yeah, I wish.
How long was this run you going to be on? You're touring right now with Carrie Underwood. And right now, man, you guys are packing a house.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, she's doing a great job out there. And, I'll tell you, it takes something to pack out an arena on the weekend.
Right.
But, man, she's doing it during the week on, like, Mondays and Tuesdays. So, man, she's killing it out there. So it's just great to be out there and be part of it.
What do you get to do as far as how long your set lasts, or what songs you choose to sing on that night? Will you sing that same rotation? Or are you now pushing your last album, because I know you got a new single coming out?
We got a new single called "Are You With Me" coming out, and see, I plugged it. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, but it all depends as far as like the big tours like that. It's kind of set, the big act like Carrie. What she. 2 hours or hour? How many minutes do they?
Yeah, she
75. No, 90 minutes.
90, right?
Yeah,
90,
there's kind of a standard there.
90 to 100.
A big headliner will do 90 to 100 minutes, and your mid act will do about 40, 45 minutes, and then your opener will probably do 20, 25 minutes.
Right.
So that's kind of a set thing, a standard thing.
How you go about picking your songs?
Well, it definitely depends on, what singles you've had out on radio and what was successful. And you try to fit some new stuff in there, but, people come there to hear the stuff they know and to sing along with. So, and two, what I like to do on mine, I also like to put some covers in there that, everybody will recognize and kind of share a little bit about what I grew up listening to and things. So I'll put some covers like that in there.
This audience is a lot of people that probably don't know who,
That's the cool thing about Carrie's audience and the great opportunity about it. She obviously was on American Idol. So,
right.
As you know, TV, man, you draw all kind of people as far as fans and people that listen to her music. Well, also, she's also crossed over as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that are fans of hers that, might not ordinarily listen to my music not because they don't like it, they just have never discovered it.
Right.
And so they come out there and, hopefully they get exposed and like what I do. And make those fans.
Yeah. So you got to have that crossover.
Well, it helps. She draws those guys out there, and that helps to kind of, like I said, normally they probably wouldn't hear my music because they don't listen to country music. But out there, they're going to hear it, and hopefully they like it.
You're listening to another classic episode of The Steve Austin Show, only on PodcastOne.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do, and I bet it can be hard work. You know what's easy? Bundling policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowners or renters insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around your home. Go to geico.com. Get a quote and see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com. All right, I'm sitting here with Easton Corbin. Hey, man, let's talk about hunting a little bit.
That's one thing you don't have to twist my arm about there.
Last time I was at Broken Skull Ranch was a couple weeks ago, and it was actually a little bit early, but the deer started dropping their horns, so we was picking up sheds.
Yeah.
And God dang, I found some good horns. And a couple of these deer I saw during the year and just decided, hey, man, let them go another year. And so I did. But, man, I'm looking forward to this season because we've got some deer that are going to be at the right age where I can start taking a couple of them.
Do you take 4 or 5 years old? Is that what?
No, man. For me, because I'm high fence, that's too young to take a deer. And
too young?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, here's the thing. My buddy Ted Fowler took a deer this year, and that deer went 165, and that deer was 7.5 years old. Wow. But here's the thing. At 4.5, he had a kicker on his left G2, and his G2's measured out at 13, and he had a 6-inch kicker off that G2, so that would have put him at the 172 mark, give or take. So that deer was actually at its best at 4.5. But being high fenced, I've got to let that deer go another 3 years. At 5.5, if you see a monster buck, I mean, he is considered a mature buck. So by all rights, you could take him if you wanted to. But me, just because I'm just looking to give them that extra time to grow.
See, I've heard though. Now I don't know all the science behind it.
Right.
But I've heard after 4.5 or 5, the racks start actually getting smaller. And I don't know if that's true. I don't know.
Man, I think it all depends on the buck.
Maybe it's just
me,
genetics. I don't know.
Yeah. And to me, here's the thing. I got a neighbor down the road, and he says he's got deer over there 8.5, 9.5 start making a comeback because they're not chasing the women during the rut that they used to be, and they're not fighting, and they're more concentrated on eating. Now, that's his theory. I'm not subscribing to that. To me, though, I mean, I really think at 5.5 and 6.5 is probably prime time, but just because I want to give them the extra benefit of the doubt, if I can let that deer go to 7.5 and hope that he doesn't get in a fight that ends his life, or hope that someone doesn't poach him, or hope that he doesn't get sick and pass away before the next time I get a chance to see him at 7.5, I give him that chance. Now, I'll give you a case in point because I want to tell a few stories for you. We see a lot of these deer, for so many years, and we'll video them, we name them. And my buddy Ted saw a badass deer, and he named him Don Julio. And last year, that deer was 6.5 years old, and I could have taken him, and I let him go. And he had a bad front leg because he'd gotten a fight, and you could recognize it because he had a gimp. And this year, we never saw that deer. We saw him from a helicopter when we did our survey to count deer.
So he was still there.
He was there, but on the hoof, we never saw him. So if this year he was 7.5, certainly, and by the pictures, it looked to be very, if you're going to take a tape to him, looked to be in the same ballpark. Couldn't vouch for it because I never got him on the ground, never videoed him. Mm-hmm. But now, next year, if he lives, he'll be 8.5, and I'm for sure that he'll probably be, I think that deer would have been in the 170s. I think he'll be lucky to be in the 160s. I don't subscribe to the same method that my neighbor does, and the way he does his program is fine. But if I could go back again, I would have taken that deer at 6.5.
Yeah. I think those deer, man, when them high fence deer like that, I think they get smarter.
Dude, and here's the thing.
I think they get smarter because there's time. We hunt up Nacogdoches, and there's pens like that. Up there, 2,000, 3,000 acres, and man, there's sometimes we go up there and you don't see a deer. People think, well, it's high fence. It's like going out there.
They're going to walk right by you.
That's the biggest misconception.
I'm telling you, there's times we go out there, we'll not see anything for a week.
Yep.
A couple does or something, but no.
Dude, that's like my place. You can go out there right now and you can ride down the roads, whether it's daylight or dark, and just ride around.
Everywhere.
And no, you won't see a thing.
It ain't hunting season.
It's a ghost town. You think that there wasn't an animal on the place, and then all of a sudden deer season will kick on, and you'll see all the young stuff, does, babies, spikes, 2.5-year-old deer, and then finally the bigger deer start showing up, and then all of a sudden you'll see a 5.5-year-old deer that you've never seen before in your life. And Easton, being a deer hunter, that once you see a deer set of horns, they basically remain in the same frame. It might change, it might get a kicker, but the main frame is going to be the same. So you always recognize that deer, whether it gets bigger, smaller, whatever. And so, man, you'll be out there, and people think, and I don't pen raise anything, I don't breed anything.
Just if you had a breeder pen.
All my stuff is straight up South Texas genetics, and more power to anybody that wants to do the breeding and the stuff like that, and the DMV pens. I'm not that guy. My place was shot out when I bought it, and we grew it up to be where it's at right now. We got good genetics, and if you've got good genetics, you let the deer get old enough, and you give them nutrition, which we do, and we live in South Texas anyway, so everything that they eat is protein. Mm-hmm. So that's a recipe for big bucks. But going back to the high fence thing, I don't import any deer. I don't put any in pens. But again, I think those deer. Here's the thing. I got my brother-in-law. He's a professional guide in Sparks, Nevada. If you want to go on a badass mule deer, elk, whatever, lion, bear hunt, he's your guy. And he comes out there, and South Texas is a little bit different for him. Yeah. But, dude, it's not like a fish in a barrel shooting.
No, it definitely ain't.
It is what it is, and there's a lot of work that goes into trying to grow big deer, but they ain't never no gimmies.
No. Hey, do you ever? Now, I was a random question, but you ever had them get out or any deer get out of the high fence?
Oh man, we brought in, like I said, we only 2 times we brought in does from different ranches just to do. These are all South Texas deer. We brought in 2 sets of 10 in different years from South Texas ranches just to bring in some different genetics, and so there wasn't so much breeding within what we already had. And those does had either a blue tag or a green tag in their ear. And my buddy Ted has seen one deer with a blue or green tag in its ear, and those other deer, and I got a pretty damn good fence, have yet to be seen. So a buck, and a lot of times when you're riding the fence line, every time I go to my ranch, I get in my Kawasaki mule, and I ride the fence line, I look for holes in the bottom of the fence, and
they'll dig.
Yeah.
Oh man,
they'll dig.
They'll just go out and now a big ass buck with a set of horns on his head but that now that they've dropped their horns, they could. And I see does and fawns do it all the time. But so I'm sure that I have lost some deer, but I'd like to say that at least 95% of what I have has stayed in. But that's always a fear, and that's why me and Ted always ride the fence and patch all the holes.
We did this event for it was American Sniper Foundation, Ted Kyle. It was a benefit that we did, and we flew into Fredericksburg, Texas, man, beautiful town.
Absolutely.
And it was funny, man. I'd never seen anything like it because I didn't grow up hunting high fence or anything like that. That's kind of a rich guy's game, And but we were on the way out to. It was going to Mason, Texas. Mm-hmm. It's about an hour, 45 minutes, an hour
not too
outside.
far from San Angelo, where my Los Angeles.
Man, let me tell you, I had never seen it. There was fields out there of bucks. Like, I guess they were farm, obviously. They had high fence, and they're just out there grazing like cows, man. I thought I was about to choke, man, seeing that. You know what I mean? Hell, I'm just a damn redneck, so it's like, to me, man, that's like, oh, my God.
It's interesting to see those deer, but, man, I went on an exotic hunt one time, And it was like, man, they were just out there standing.
Well, that's how these deer. Obviously, they were.
Yeah.
It was a farm, for deer, and they were just out there hanging out, man, grazing like cows.
Yeah,
man. It was crazy.
And that's cool. But like you and I were talking earlier, man, bow hunting. That's what I want to get into because
bow hunting.
It's one thing to manage your ranch, to try to increase, the Boone and Crockett inches of all the bucks in your herd, and because that's what you're trying to do.
Sure.
You're just trying to grow big deer. And we eat everything that we shoot, and if not, it's donated to a church or a food bank or whatever. Nothing is wasted. By the time I spend all that damn money on protein, we don't waste nothing. We wouldn't do it anyway out of respect for the animals. Right. But I went on that South Texas exotic hunt, and it was like, man, there was no challenge to it. And so now I want to get close. Yeah. I want to be 15 yards.
That doesn't sound like, I've heard of guys going on those hunts where they pay the big money. And basically,
because they want to put something on the wall and make up a story about it.
They say they basically parade the deer through there. And
yeah.
It's like, you take that one right there. That don't seem like a whole lot of fun to me.
No, man, but a lot of people, they want to have that gigantic set of horns on the wall, and they'll make up some story to the dude they're trying to do business with about shooting a damn deer. And man, I ain't about that. But see, now it's like, I think my program is far enough along that now I can come in, I can do my culling. I can do my culling like I need to do, but for my trophy stuff, man. Whitetails are smart, and sometimes they're quirky. Sometimes, they're always quirky. But
they have
sometimes
different personalities for sure.
But right when you pattern them, they change patterns.
Man, they're smart.
And as smart and as visual as they are, because you can be sitting in a deer stand, or if you're in a thicket or your brush stand or wherever you're at, and you can be all camoed up. But if you just make movement and they see you, like as soon as a deer steps out in the Sendero in South Texas, the first thing they do is they look at that deer stand and they look in the windows because they're trying to skylight you.
Man, they adapt.
But they just want to skylight you to see if there's a silhouette in that deer stand. So, dude, I'm always scooted to the back, or I've hung a drape up through some burlap or whatever I've jerry rigged up there. But I want to get past that, and I want to go against their nose. Because the deer, sometimes when you can pattern them, just by what they do, if you set game trail cameras, and we don't do that. But dude, I want to beat the nose, and if I can beat the nose, then I've overcome the odds, put myself, in his ballpark.
Well, I'm gonna say if you can beat their nose, which you're not going to do,
right? But see, that's what I'm trying to do.
One thing I tried one time, and it's crazy. Somebody told me, and I'd always heard, growing up, like, don't ever get around smoke or anything.
Right.
Away from smoke. Well, I talked to a guy he's like, dude, he said, I hunt up in Steve Yoder from Lancaster Archery, and he goes somewhere, I think Wisconsin or something.
Yeah, they go to Wisconsin.
Yeah. And the guy told him, he's like, hey, man, I use this thing, a bee smoker, and I put, like, leaves and stuff in it, just, get it smoking like you would anything else. And he smoked himself up with that thing and get the, I'd always thought you didn't do that.
Right.
You don't want to get smoke on because of the smell. Well, Steve said he tried it, and sure enough, he said, dude, I'm a believer in it.
Yeah.
So I went, and I said, well, send me one of them bee smokers. I'll try it. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Sure enough, dude, I was in a ground blind. I had one of them hay bale blinds. And I was in a ground blind, man, and sure enough, these does come out there. And, dude, of course, they looked up, and they kind of looked my way, but they just went the head back down and just started feeding, man. I knew they smelled me.
Right.
But all they smelled was smoke.
They didn't smell the human scent.
They didn't smell the human. They smelled that smoke, which I got to think about. Well, that makes sense, because that's just natural, out in the woods, you people, burning stuff and, forestry and all that stuff. So, man, I'm a believer in it.
Here's a story that comes off what you're saying out there, but it's funny because I could be on my Kubota tractor and I could be shredding.
Yeah.
And because it's just the same, that diesel motor is revved up to about 2,600, but it's just a piece of working machinery. For some reason, the deer don't seem to mind it as much. Now, I come tooling down the road in my Kawasaki Mule or my Ford Bronco, and that Bronco's pretty quiet, but anything else kind of scares them off. That for some reason, that tractor sound is a little bit more natural to them.
Yeah. Wow.
But
go ahead.
No, the story I was going to get to was a long time ago. We was at the Buckmasters event, and it was like 1992 or 1993, and Jackie Bushman. And we go out there, and all these baseball guys, Mark Chestnut's down there. He's a big hunter out of Beaumont, and I was a big Mark Chestnut fan, still am. And Rick Rude just started getting into hunting, and me and Paul Orndorff got him on a hunting lease down with us in South Georgia. So anyway, the rules were, by Jackie Bushman, he goes, guys, don't anybody shoot a spike. We're looking for 6 or 8 points or better. So Rick Rude, he's a newbie. You had the choice back in. Remington gave out a 700. You could pick the 30-06 or the 280. I remember picking the 280. Nikon supplied the optics. I still have that gun in my safe today. And so all of a sudden we're out there, and Rick Rude, everybody who knows Rick Rude knows he liked to smoke dope. So going back to your smoking the clothes story, so, we got specific directions not to shoot spikes, right? So Rick's out there, and when Rick rolled a joint, it was a big-ass joint. I mean, like a cigar. So he's out there smoking a joint, and sure enough, a spike comes by. Well, he sees the spike. It's got horns.
Hey, man,
we've been
that's
informed
cool.
we're not supposed to shoot spikes. So, blam, he shoots the spike. The spike drops.
Oh,
okay, well, he's still smoking a joint. Along happens another spike. Apparently, deer are attracted to the smell of marijuana.
They're potheads.
So, yeah.
They're potheads.
Yeah.
So, I think Rick
You're probably
thinks...
going to make a lot of people happy. Dude.
I know. I know.
That's what I
People
said.
get mad when I tell these hunting stories because they don't like when something dies. But anyway, it's when I'm telling this is actually a funny
I'm just
story.
talking about the stoners that listen.
Oh yeah,
They'll
no, I
like
mean,
that.
when I tell a hunting story, so many people say, "Oh man, I can't believe that you shoot your own food." So anyway, Rick shoots not one spike but two spikes. So at the Buckmaster's thing, the guy drops you off, then he comes and picks you up, and Rick informs the guy and goes, "I got two deer laying down here." And sure enough, they go to pick up the two deer, and they're two spikes. And first of all, you weren't supposed to shoot spikes. Yeah. And Rick's deal to me after the hunt was over, and this is the way he always talked. And I said, Rick, dude, what'd you do, man? I said, you shot two spikes. You weren't supposed to shoot spikes. He goes, Steve, I was in my stand. I was just sitting there smoking a joint, and this buck comes up. I mean, it's a fucking spike, but it's a buck. What am I supposed to do? Let it go? I said, Rick, I said, they told you not to shoot the spike. He goes, Steve, I had to shoot it. I said, well, what about the other one? He goes, Steve, I saw a buck. He goes, I had to shoot it. I said, yeah, but it was a spike. He goes, I couldn't let the buck go. So anyway, that was Rick Rude's deal.
I thought the week was supposed to chill him out, man.
Yeah.
I thought it was too, but it made for a good cover. At least the smell of the joints. Deer must like the smell of dope.
I guess.
But it didn't impair his judgment.
It's going to give a lot of people an excuse.
Yeah.
Hey,
We don't condone.
I'll go on record right now saying if you're out there in the woods, don't smoke dope and have a gun in your hand.
Guns, alcohol, and drugs probably don't mix.
They don't mix at all.
100% amen. I'm going to take a pause for the calls, a word for the sponsors, keep the show on the air. I'm going to grab another Broken Skull IPA. Conversation continues with Easton Corbin right after this.
You're listening to another classic episode of The Steve Austin Show, only on PodcastOne.
Pluto TV is playing the biggest movies every night this summer for free. Watch hit movies like The Matrix, G.I. Joe Retaliation, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Scary Movie, Runaway Bride, and more all summer long. Check out the biggest stars like The Rock, Keanu Reeves, Tom Cruise, Julia Roberts, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and more. Plus, Pluto TV has hundreds of free TV channels in English and Spanish featuring TV shows, news, sports, comedy, and more, all for free. Download the free Pluto TV app on your favorite streaming device, including Android and Apple smartphones. Pluto TV. Drop in, watch free.
All right, coming right back in with Easton Corbin. Chris Tate's in here, 316 Gimmick Street. Going to put in another 25 minutes right off in the sunset. These guys got a day off. They got things to do. I'm sitting there drinking Broken Skull IPA. I'm sure Easton might jump off with a bottle of Crown Royal later on tonight to continue the birthday celebration.
The life jacket.
Yeah.
So, Steve, we've kind of beat around the bush here, but I want to get a little personal with you. I want to get personal. Ask the tough questions, right?
Tough questions.
So I'm a big old history nerd.
Here's the thing. I lay off the tough questions because I don't want to put people in a rock and a hard place.
Well,
but if you want to go hard questions,
right.
we'll go hard questions.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of a big history nerd. And your name's Steve Austin.
Yep.
Stephen Austin.
Yep.
Were you named after Stephen Austin?
Nope. You're talking about the Stephen Austin
Stephen
from
F. Austin.
Stephen F. Austin University.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're not talking about $6 million man Steve Austin.
Stephen F. Austin, the Texas guy.
You're talking about Texas. You're talking about the way back guy.
Yeah, way back guy.
No.
Alamo,
Because here's
all
the
that
deal, man. I told this story to my fans a couple times, but I'll give it to you. Man, I was born in Austin, Texas.
Right.
And my parents, were together a couple years and they got divorced. So my birth name is Stephen James Anderson. So
There you go.
I was born in Anderson, but then my folks split up, and my mom moved down to Victoria, down to South Texas, and she married a guy named Ken Williams. Do what?
The boot festival.
Yeah.
In Victoria.
In Victoria.
The boot festival in Victoria?
Yeah.
Well, they had a boot festival. We were there.
That is a fact I did not know about.
Yeah.
What am I not doing at the boot festival? I'm gonna get my ass down there. So then my name was legally changed to Stephen James Williams. Well, see, when I first broke in the wrestling business, I wrestled as Steve Williams, just Steve Williams. Didn't have no fanfare, no nickname, no gimmick name, nothing.
Nobody cares about a Steve Williams.
Nobody cares about Steve Williams, but there was a Dr. Death Steve Williams. And so, anyway, a guy named Dutch Mantell, when I started working in Tennessee, gave me the name Steve Austin. Then I turned it into Stunning Steve, and then I turned into the Ringmaster, and then I came up with the Stone Cold Steve Austin through an ex-wife, who I know plenty about. We'll get to that in a minute, talking about hard questions. So that's how I wasn't named after Stephen Austin, the Texas
See,
guy
I wondered
that was
about
famous.
that.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, I was watching. I forgot. It was some show on Texas Independence, and I was watching. And for some reason, because we had mentioned we might see you down here, and I thought about that. I said, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Well, that's how that name came to be. But it was funny because Stephen F. Austin got, I think when they get to the final, the Sweet 16 or the final.
Yeah, they
or
lost at the buzzer.
Along with TSU, Middle Tennessee.
Well, they didn't get that far, but
but they got pretty close. I mean, for a small underdog school like
but
that.
so all of a sudden, because it was a Steve Austin type school, I got a lot of play on that. And ESPN did a couple of tweets and all stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. But, dude, okay, we was talking earlier, and I was talking about one of the things that happened to me. And you said, dude, how many times have you been married? And I said, 4. You've been married once, right?
I've been married once.
You come out on the south side of that? Divorce?
Yes, divorce.
Dude, how's life on the road these days?
Man, it's good.
In relationship?
Well, yeah.
Okay, is he yes or no?
Yeah, no, I am. Yeah.
So I'll talk about life on the road. Obviously, I ended up with 4 divorces. I can't say that it was because of the business, because it was decisions that I made. I would like to think that the road probably, and maybe the business that I was in, or just life presents its challenges.
As you know, life on the road is a different, unless you live it, it's a totally different animal than anything, as you know.
Yeah. Right.
So it's definitely hard on a relationship and things like that.
Right.
Being out on the road.
It's funny, though. Some of our we have this discussion a lot amongst our band and crew of just our lifestyle. And we got a lot of guys married with
families,
kids, with families, And one of our guys actually came up with a formula or an equation where he added up our hours gone and our hours home versus a husband, father,
regular
that works Monday through
Yeah.
Friday, 8 to 5, and there's more time. We are at home over a year more than an 8 to 5.
It's interesting
because you
wouldn't think that.
You fact hours when you
Right.
factor in hours. Now we may not spend as many nights, like sleep there as many nights, but hours wise, he through his formula it was more. Because think about it, like okay, you get up, you got to be at work at 8. Typically, probably somebody gets up at 6:30. Kids, they're gone to school or whatever. You're at where you leave for work. Let's average commute of an hour. You're leaving the house at 7. You get off work at 8. An hour commute home. You're home at 6. Kids go to bed probably, depending on their age, 8, 9 o'clock at night. You're in bed probably at 10. You do it all over again. Whereas like in our lifestyle, you go, you work hard, and then when you're off, and then you go back out. Like you're home.
Yeah, but dude, when you're gone, you're gone.
Exactly.
And so that formula sounds interesting, but when you break down what it is,
Still
into a different town every damn
Especially
night.
if you got a wife and kids and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Now there's FaceTime though.
Yeah.
FaceTime.
It was funny, man, because it was Lauren, our guitar player, actually come up with that. And it was funny.
Yeah.
He's an interesting guy. And he come up with this deal because a lot of people, and I'm sure you run in the same, wrestling and stuff. A lot of people, when they think about, we play music, obviously we love our jobs. I mean, I love what I do and stuff. But a lot of people don't think, they think, oh, they're just out there having a good time.
Yeah.
And we do have a good time, but Lauren was like, I've thought about that, and I think the problem is the term is playing music instead of working music.
Yeah. Right.
Like this tour.
It's still a job.
The set's 40 minutes long. It's like how long would a match be back in the day? Like the match is over
Man, it goes back to what Easton was saying a little bit earlier in the conversation, where
people don't realize the background, behind the scenes stuff that goes on, like to prepare for getting there, setting up,
traveling.
All they see is the show.
Yeah,
which it's good, but a lot of people don't realize all the things.
But this thing is like to be involved in something. Man, wrestling is kind of is athletic, but it's also artistic. You're expressing yourself out there, whereas music is artistic, and so you express yourself, and so it's something that you're very passionate about and you love to do. But at the end of the day, it's still work because when you're up there. Well, you tell me, dude. I mean, because I'm wrestling a different dude or a different match every night. Sometimes things could be the same, but if you're out there and you're in a swing where when you're singing the same damn thing, song after song, night after night. At the end of the day, it's work, but you still love it like you did on day one?
Oh, absolutely. There's some nights, there's some days that are tougher than others, and you're like, man, this, but then you got to kind of step back and put yourself in perspective or put things in perspective and say, you know what? I could still be working at Ace Hardware. Nothing wrong with Ace Hardware. I love Ace Hardware. It provided me with income, as I was going to school and getting my deal. But, I definitely like singing better than, doing that. Or I could be digging a ditch. Nothing wrong with that. But so you kind of, when you start kind of feeling a little down, you kind of step back and look at it and be like, well, you know what? I'm living my dream. And there's so many other people that would love to be able to do what I do, that would love that chance.
Well, here's the thing. What do you do when someone buys a ticket to an Easton Corbin concert, or you're part of the package or whatever, or it's just y'all out there doing your own thing? Let's just say this is an Easton Corbin show. Or on the other hand, it was a WWE show back in my day, and so they was going to see wrestling. They was going to see Stone Cold, Undertaker, The Rock, or whoever, Mankind, Triple H. They're going to see Easton Corbin. But then all of a sudden, you get them out there, and they did. It's like, man, he's like, what's up? Y'all paid y'all's money because you want to see wrestling, but you're not really digging the matches. What do you do? Because every now and then it happens. You get a crowd that just don't respond like you'd like them to.
Every crowd, every town, we go out there, we do the same set.
Right.
But it's still different.
Yeah.
Depending on, the crowd. Some crowds are more lively than others, like you say. Some towns, are just different. Maybe they hadn't played the song there quite as much as they had another town. Or, there's just different variables like that. But as an entertainer, and, it's your responsibility to entertain them. There's some nights, like we played casinos before where, a lot of times it's just, where they don't allow drinking or anything. Mm-hmm. Generally drinking does liven up the situation, But sometimes you play places where it's kind of stiff like that, and people are just sitting there. And, sometimes they just want to listen.
Right.
But then sometimes, sometimes they're not comfortable. They think, well, I'm not going to move till this other guy moves over here. So as an entertainer, it's up to you to get them up and going and let them know, hey, we're all here to have a good time. And get up, dance, do whatever you want to do. As the entertainer, it's your responsibility to entertain.
Okay, at the end of the day, are you the guy who decides what the set is to be, that list of songs?
At the end of the day.
So if you're up there, all of a sudden you want to call an audible.
Oh, yeah. It's funny you say that. We've here lately, we've been doing the Carrie Underwood thing, which has been great, but, it's not our full show. So what few full shows we've been doing, here lately, man, I've been, on addition to our whole set, which is about an hour and 15, I've been pulling out old album cuts and stuff that I did and, pulling out some stuff that I don't normally do. And it's been a blast.
We've heard, people requested that, too.
Yeah, people's requested it, too, Mm-hmm. Dance Real Slow, Damn Girl, Tulsa, Texas, big one. And we get it's always cool to get out there and do those songs you don't get to do very often.
I always had a couple of favorite billings to play. Do you have a couple of favorite states or cities or regions or specific billings?
Oh yeah, man. We're going to play Billy Bob's in Fort Worth.
Mm-hmm.
And, dude, that's one of my all-time favorites, man. Texas in
because
general,
of history or acoustics or
no, I just the
atmosphere, the crowd,
and.
California's been
California's
really
great. It really is for country music, but Texas, man, and Oklahoma and Louisiana. I love to play everywhere, but for some reason it's a little bit different in those areas because you still got the guys or the folks out there. They still get out there and dance and stuff.
Yeah,
you don't see that's kind of you don't see that places very much. Texas, Oklahoma, that's kind of a step back in time.
San Antonio's always a hot spot.
San Antonio, it's a different way of life kind of down there.
Dude, I always hear, music has changed. Because, back in the day, you would sell albums. And these days, everything is a download.
Everything's download.
And so, but these days, as a touring act, I mean, the money comes from being on the road and the merch stand.
Yeah, your bread and butter's out there putting butts in seats, man. That's the bread and butter.
So you don't know the album sales because that had disappeared by the time you really came upon, right?
Yeah, by the time I came upon, that was kind of going away. The whole downloading was coming in. It ain't like the 90s. The 90s,
right.
Like they said, they drop an artist if you just went gold.
Mm-hmm.
They drop you.
There's been a couple changes. Obviously, the single downloads was kind of starting to get hot when you first came out, and now it's a lot of streaming.
Yeah, that's right. It's even changed. Now it's streaming.
The Pandoras and
where you pay one
people,
time fee. Well, iTunes is a lot of times me, man. I'm technologically a little challenged, so I just realized the other day iTunes had went to that, even though they're taking it out of my automatically on credit card, but. Because I was looking up old Jerry Lee Lewis stuff, and it happened to come up there, and it listed all the stuff, and I'm like, wait, this ain't I don't have all this in my iTunes library, and I looked, and it was all of Apple Music, and you could just play whatever you wanted to, and I was like, I forgot, or I didn't realize they did that. They did, but I forgot that they had done that.
Hey man, speaking of touring, how do you guys go about deciding your schedule?
You mean the touring schedule?
Yeah.
It depends.
How far out is that?
Chris can talk about that because he's a tour manager. So
because back in the day, you were talking about wrestling a little bit. Back in the day, Vince and Pat Patterson used to sit in his backyard by a swimming pool, and they would book a year to two out with talent. Now, guys might go down to injury, but I mean that's really how far out they played the game.
Yeah.
With respect to Easton, like how far out can you book?
Well, with us,
logistics to it.
There is, and like with us, like it changes year to year. Like this year, it's interesting because. The Carrie Underwood stuff. I mean, that's set. That's much like what you're talking about.
Schedule.
Like she's, with AEG is the promoter for her tour. So they're the ones. They go out and they see when the buildings are available. They probably started it, I don't know, probably a year ago, and then they get that scheduled her, and then they decide. Then they start thumbing around ideas of who they want on the bill, and that's when Easton comes into play, and then we get the offer, and then the big wigs look at it and accept it, and then we get the schedule. So we know like it's about 90 dates with her this year.
We book our own stuff around that.
Right.
Now, what she does, I think, in the end of May is the first leg of the tour, and then she'll take a 2-month break.
Yep.
And we're going to do our own thing. June, July, August, fairs, festivals, our own, and then we'll catch back up with Carrie when she starts up again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So how long does that tie last? Just because, I mean, like right now y'all are touring with Carrie, and that's a great relationship as far as the crowd demographics and the synergy between y'all. Yeah. But how long will that last before you say, okay, it's time to tour with somebody else? Or she decides, hey, it's time to have someone else rather than Easton?
Yeah, well, generally it'll run to the end of the year.
Yeah.
Right.
And
okay.
They'll go back and
November 28th, I think, is the fall dates just came out, and that's
because I don't know. She hadn't. She just put the fall dates out, so we don't know what her tour schedule will be for the next year. So as far as we know, we're going to be doing our own thing right now for the next year, but who knows?
There might be another tour. There might be
another big tour that we get on.
Yeah.
Okay, so then when you decide to go out on your thing,
sure.
How do you go about deciding who you want to open for you?
Well,
is that higher ups or is that you?
A lot of times we don't get to choose that.
Yeah, what happens with that, like for instance, like with a fair, like there'll be a fair board that's working with what they call a fair buyer. Say, hey, this is our budget.
That's right. And they'll put the shows together.
What can you put a package? We need Friday night's our country night, and here's how much money we have to spend, and then they'll contact the booking agencies, and they'll see what everybody's prices are. It'll depend on where we are in the country. That's a big deal.
Right. Yeah,
more logistics.
Routing, yeah.
So, like somebody like at with Easton, it's a constant year. All year they're booking. Offers come in. But, the demand for him, and as much as we work, I mean, it's if you're not putting offers in a year in advance, you're probably going to miss out because there's stuff already being routed. This Carrie tour, we know the dates, the cities,
right.
So that makes it a little easier for him to go, okay, well, we know he's going to be in Bossier City, and then there's a day off from the Carrie tour, and then the next show is in, Little Rock, or Tulsa or whatever. So it's like, okay, so Billy Bob's Fort
it's
Worth.
only
Right.
They got to know. They
200
need
miles,
somebody.
you know.
Okay, well, we're
You
going to
pop
pop
in
over
there.
there,
We can pop over
knock
there and
that
do it.
out. And it's just like last week we played in. We were in Las Vegas for the ACM Awards, and then there was like a 2-day break. Well, we hit a casino in southwest corner of Colorado,
Yeah.
played it, and then the next night we played in Fresno with Carrie.
kinda
We
on
met
the
back
way.
out
Right.
with her. So, in our world, that's kind of how they do.
But
it.
Easton, how busy do you want to be? Dude, at 34, man, when I was 34, I was bulletproof. I was chomping at the bit. So how busy do you want to be?
I like to work, man. I honestly, when you get used to doing what we do, and I think I can speak for other people as well that do what I do. If I'm sitting at home 2 or 3 days a week, I start to get bored. If it's not hunting season,
Damn right.
If it's not hunting season,
Right.
I start to get bored. So if 2 days at home is about as much as I want to just be sitting around.
Yeah.
Other than that, I want to be going. Because it's one of these things. In what we do, and I'm sure what you do as well. The clock's always ticking.
Right.
I mean, it could go away tomorrow.
Right.
Yep.
So you got to get out there and make hay while the sun's
We'll do
shining.
about 130 to 150.
Yeah.
Yeah, but to me, it was like, some of the days back in the day, I mean, they'd string us out for a pretty good piece of time.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, you'd be on the road, you'd be strung out, and, guys back in the day, we would live pretty fast. Yeah. Like, man, I'm ready to take my ass to the house. Well, man, I was already, by the time I got to the house, just like you said, do it a day and a half. And I put my bags right there by the washer and the dryer because I just wear the same stuff over and over and over again. But, man, it'd be like, I start going like this with my fingers. I'd get antsy. I said, it's time to get back on the road again. It'd be like, dude, you just got here. Yeah, but I'm ready to get back on the road
I
because
kind of get what
it's what I do.
Carson used to call it. He's like, well, man, when I get in road mode, it's like.
I call it zombie mode because, but road mode, it's the same parallel because you're living life, but it's life as you know it, and you're just used to being on the road. Yeah. And so life happens, and you're engaged and you're involved, but your business is you going to arena.
You are your business.
That's what it is. It's touring.
Wheels got to spin.
It's the same as a guy clocking in. That's what he does, and that's what you do.
For me, I kind of and I get used to, I kind of have a schedule out there on the road. Like I get up. Usually I get up a little later because just the nature of what we do. Go to catering, eat. And usually after that, rest your food, go to the gym.
A lot of interviews. And
go to the gym, and it's time. About time, then you go eat supper. And then it's time to start getting ready to do the show.
Sound
and
check.
So, dude, you like that
sound
schedule
check during
on
the
the
day.
road, yeah.
So I have that, every day. So it's kind of when I'm at home and it ain't hunting season or I ain't fishing or something. It's like, man, what I do, like, I kind of like that. That routine, I guess.
Hey, when it comes down to the daily schedule, how do you guys map that out?
Well, a lot of it, the easiest way for me to explain that to people is I'm sure you can relate. Our biggest challenge every single day is time. Time.
Yeah, there's never
everything
enough time,
revolves
man.
around time. How long it takes you to get to the next city. How long it takes you to set up. How long it takes you to eat. How long it takes you to get to a gym and back. How long do you have to sound check? How long do you have to do a meet and greet? How long's your show? How long's the next drive? So, all that comes into play, with a big production like Carrie.
Oh man, that's of the essence. I mean,
it's already mapped out. They know. I mean, they're going in the day before the show and
she's coming in with a machine. You guys are on 2 big ass buses. How many buses she got?
They are running probably
15 to 20, man.
Well, no, she's got I think 8 to 10 buses and I think 17 trucks.
Okay, the trucks.
Oh my God! Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be a well-oiled machine. As much stuff's going on.
Yeah.
Over there. I mean, they've got that stuff down to the bolt. Because it's just such a big production.
Now, when we do one of our own shows, I map that out with when I call ahead, to the promoter, find out what time does our show start. Okay, well, we're going to be coming from, San Antonio to Fort Worth is probably, a 5-hour drive. So, the night before I'll tell them our show's over at this time, and we'll get out of there about 2. We're going to get there about 9 a.m. We'll load in at 10. Need lunch ready at noon. We'll sound check at 1.
But, dude, the question I was sitting there, I actually pushed the pause button for like a minute, and Easton and Chris were looking at me like I was crazy because I lost my train of thought. The question I meant to ask was, because after we trained, I said, hey, you guys want to get something to eat before we come over into this podcast? And you're like, no, we're covered. We're good on food. But you guys are just eating. Left your own devices. What are you guys going to do for dinner tonight? Because I know I'm going to come over and drink beer with you guys, but when you're out on the road and catering ain't set up, and you guys are on a day off, and you'll leave tonight about 2 a.m. to leave for Phoenix, your next gig tomorrow. Yeah. What are y'all doing for food?
You know, like
restaurant.
Yeah, the restaurant there at the hotel is pretty good. We're always a big fan of Hooters.
Hooters Wings.
Hooters Wings. They have the best wings. Or
he's hoping for a sponsorship and a supply of wings.
Lemon pepper,
lemon
pepper flavor, ranch, extra ranch.
Yeah,
you can keep the celery.
Chipotle too.
Chipotle.
They did give me a card. Chipotle.
They did.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. Pretty cool.
But on the days off, you know, we always try to stay in hotels where there's plenty of stuff around or grabbing.
Yeah, but the way y'all act, I was just thinking, man, you guys, because you're on these buses, you got everything organized. I thought you guys were going to like break out barbecue pits and throw a brisket on. And I was thinking,
you know, we did that for a while, but that stuff always gets beat up and broke. You know,
you need someone to do it for you.
Stuff up. You gotta, you know,
it always sounds good, but when you do it,
and
hey, take a motorcycle.
Hey, and a lot of people.
And that's all cool.
Yeah.
But somebody's got to, you know, it's like after the show's done, it's still sitting there. Somebody's got to take.
Nobody ever wants to put stuff away.
Nobody wants to put it away, you know. Right. It's like, and two, like motorcycle and stuff, that's all great. But usually when you're out on the road, man,
you beat up.
You know, once you get out there and you go ride for an hour or two, hell, you're tired.
Yeah.
You get back. So all that stuff's fun and theoretically sounds great, but usually in the end, it's like, it's just more hassle than, you know, it's worth.
Hey, man, we was at the gym today, and you was talking about writing songs, and you was talking about your truck, your famous Dodge truck that you've had for a couple of years, and you got it brand new, and you ain't washed in 2 years.
Ram, man. That I love that truck. It's one of my favorites, and because we worked with Ram a little bit, and but yeah, it's washing the truck ain't my priority. Yeah. I think the last time I washed that truck, it was I gauge it by the BMIs. Yeah. The last BMIs I didn't drive
2 years ago.
The BMIs 2 years ago.
Yeah. What's BMI?
Songwriter Awards.
Songwriter.
Got you.
I knew I was going to that and I had to drive my truck, so I was like, well, I'll get it washed. And so I got it washed. I think it's the last time.
Yeah.
You know, I'm kind of the, you know, trucks used to work, you know, so I don't mind taking it out there and using it, you know. It's just, you know, you get some people get a vehicle, you know, and they have a fine-tooth comb, and it's like, man, if I can't use it, I don't want it. So that's why I love my truck.
See, man, I was embarrassed when I came and picked you guys up my ride, and there's a big pile of bird shit on the hood of it, and Chris started making fun of me.
Trust me.
Yeah.
When you
saw
get a
the
chance,
inside of our bus.
Yeah, if you saw the inside of my truck.
I've seen the inside of y'all's bus.
Yeah.
There's human beings in there, and there's stuff going on. That looks like a rolling party. Yeah. When do you get a chance to sit down and try to pen a tune?
You know what? When lately, I've been writing quite a bit. I don't write much out on the road. There's just so much going on. I'm not opposed to it, but I don't write much out on the road.
Usually when you're in Nashville.
In Nashville.
Once or twice a week for sure.
Yeah, once
more.
or twice a week I'll get in there and, you know, get scheduled with different writers, and I'll bring in a song idea. And, you know, there's all kind of ways that all comes about. You know,
how does that come about? I mean, because back in the day, man, I'd travel with a fanny pack, and if I saw just a slogan, something on a billboard, I would write down something in pen and paper just so it was a T-shirt idea or part of a promo, and that's what I did. If I didn't write it down, I forget about it.
It's exactly how songwriting for me is, man. I'll hear somebody say something, or I'll see something on a billboard, or, you know, I immediately. That's the great thing about these phones, you know. I immediately either say it on that voice recorder or write it down.
Right.
Or if I have a melody or something, if I'm just sitting there screwing my guitar and I just kind of stumble on a melody or something that sounds really cool, I'll take it and put it on that. Man, I can't tell you how many. I mean, I'll look right here, man. I can't tell you how many notes that I make. And this is what I go to. And, you know, it might not even be a title, man. It might just be a saying. I mean, that's just all kind of, for days, just stuff, random stuff. And
I'm looking at Easton Corbin's iPhone, and he's scrolling, and there's a list of about 150. I'm going to turn them into T-shirts. See, here's my thing. I was just trying to come up with a catchphrase, something cool to say, or something on a T-shirt. You're actually trying to come up with a story that you can sing.
Yeah, and you know, the thing about it is, and maybe that might not be the title. Maybe that's just the idea. Maybe it's a line in the song that that inspires something else. I mean, it might not be any of that. Might be
Yeah.
something somebody else brings in.
Now, we were talking about tonight's festivities. We're going to celebrate your 34th birthday. Well, I'm just going to participate, come, and just hang out and chill.
We're going to get you to sing.
It's all about you.
We'll get him to sing.
My
Hey,
question is,
we heard him sing a while back.
Yeah.
We heard you singing.
when?
It was you and LaRock, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
we were
YouTubing
bring
some stuff.
that
Yeah.
up.
We were YouTubing it.
But my question is, like on your tour, will you play guitar?
I do actually play guitar. Now, on this Carrie thing, I don't because it's just we have to be on and off
Gotcha.
the stage real quick. But now on my own shows, I do play guitar.
So you can and do play.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So if you're writing a song, will you bust out a guitar, or would you sit there and just think of lyrics and
I
stuff,
always
or will you
bust
think about
out
the
a
music?
guitar or something? But both of it. It's all part of it. I mean, all
you
that
play
stuff
bass,
is-
play drums, or anything keyboards? I mean, it's strictly guitar.
Pretty much guitar. I can't say I can really play any of those other ones.
Right.
I can't, but I can play guitar. Now, on Carrie, I do strum the guitar up there.
Right.
I do strum, but as far as playing lead, I do that on my own shows.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to chill tonight and drink a few beers. And then, so
Crown.
how long will the celebration last? Is this just another reason to have another beer fest?
Another reason to sing a song.
It's
What,
funny.
do you got any requests for tonight?
Yeah, you
What
got
do
any
wanna hear?
request?
Oh, dude, you singing Keith Whitley?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Hey, dude, you know what? I'd like to hear Silver Wings.
Oh, I can do that.
Silver
Dude,
Wings,
I love
okay.
that, man. Good Lord.
Yeah, that'll be easy.
Yeah.
All right, tell me one more time about the new single, and then I'll let you guys go because I know you got to eat, and I got to drive you to the place anyway.
I got a pretty interesting
You're all
story
right.
about this.
No,
Okay.
you got
So-
to do it. All I need is stories. Go for
All
it.
right. Well, this song, Are You With Me? It's a song that I cut for my second record, All Over the Road. And, man, when I first heard the song, I loved it, and I knew it was a special song. And but, as time went on, we didn't get a chance to release it as a single. And but I love this song so much, and I wanted it to be a single so bad, I decided, and Mike Dungan, my record label president, let me take that song and move it to this last record.
Yep.
It's about to get real. And, after usually a record, usually you have it out about a year and a half, 2 years before you actually go and start making another one. Well, it's been close to 2 years now, I say new record.
Man, time flies by.
It does. I say new record, and it's like, well, heck, it's already a year and a half. So, this single, the next single we're going to have to pick was going to be probably the last song off the record. And with that said, I was like, well, I've been waiting to put Are You With Me out for a long time, so this is the time to do it. I'm going to do it. So Mike let me do that, but as a single. And the interesting thing about this song is probably about 6 months, a year ago, my buddy called me, Drew, old steel guitar player. He called me and said, man, I just heard Are You With Me on the EDM station, electronic dance music.
Right.
And I was like, what? I'm like, are you drinking, dude? The hell? And because, that's not two things that go together, me and, EDM. You don't exactly think about that. And so sure enough, man, I Googled it, and there was this guy from France or Belgium. He was a DJ. He remixed this thing into a dance deal. And it's funny because it's just one verse over and over again. It was like, that whole thing, And he that song ended up being a #1 song in like 10 countries over in Europe. And it was like voted the best international dance song. Mm-hmm. And so it's just crazy how, I think that's a testament to great music. It transcends genres, great music does. Of course, his version's only one verse. But it was funny when people, I think they've had over 140 million streams.
Yeah.
And from that, it's funny, when you YouTube that stuff, my acoustic version comes up. And a lot of those people that normally, listen to EDM, they was like, oh, what's this? And they clicked on it. I think we've had over 4 million streams, and it's funny. You'll look in the comment section and be like, "Oh man, Easton Corbin ripped the Lost Frequency guys off," and then you keep scrolling down. And I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, no, actually,
original.
Easton cut this.
Yeah.
Actually, Easton cut this before any of them did."
Yeah.
And so it's funny, man, and like a lot of them's like, "Well, we didn't realize it was a whole song," like. So that's just kind of random, interesting fact about that song.
Man, it's going to be interesting to see how it does because I liked it the first time it came out, and then you're going to release it. And we talked last time about it, but dude, and bust out it. I want to dance. Give me that. What's
Dance real slow.
Dance real slow.
Or the
No.
Wait,
I wanna dance
Are you
by
with
the-
me?
I want to dance by the water beneath the Mexican sky. There you go.
Well, give me a little bit more.
I want to dance by the water beneath the Mexican sky. Get the beatbox going.
Yeah.
Give me 3 more lines, God dang it.
Drink some margaritas by a string of blue lights. Listen to the mariachi play at midnight. Well, are you with me? Are you with me?
You're damn right I am. Sitting there with Easton Corbin at 316.
Hey, I didn't need auto-tune for that one.
And see, you know that I knew the words to the song. At least I knew the first few words and how it went.
Hey, I'm going to have you singing it tonight.
Yeah.
No, I'm coming to listen to you guys singing tonight. I'm hanging with Easton Corbin, one of my favorite acts going right now. Chris Tate, his manager. They're on the road. They stopped over in Marina Del Rey. I was really excited to get a text message from Chris. Said you guys want to come my way. I wanted to see you guys in Pomona. I want to come to see you guys when you was over in Hollywood or somewhere, or maybe it's out there.
Anaheim.
Right, Anaheim. But it's always, man, when you get in L.A. and you got to drive in this damn traffic, and I got something else going, it's just such a pain in the ass when you're so close but yet so far. It's a pain in the ass. What's that?
It takes like 2 hours to go 5 miles.
It really does. Yeah, and I've been talking about seeing you guys forever, so I am seeing you tonight live and in living color at y'all's bus. And that's how it rolls out here in Marina Del Rey. Easton Corbin, thank you for stopping by.
You,
Chris Tate, and man, it was great working out with you. I burned 3 calories.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I promise we work out harder.
Hey, but here's the deal. I didn't make a living with my body. Well, I used my body, and a 6-pack doesn't really matter to you. But that being said, you don't want to drum either.
Yeah, you don't.
You're 34. You still got age working for you.
Yeah.
You got no need to spare tire.
Yeah, I got plenty.
But the beer is good.
The beer's good. Hey, and still at 34, dude, you got to stay pretty.
Hey,
you know how it is.
It's hard to
We're
do.
in the entertainment industry.
Well, it is.
Well, you are. I'm not. Well, I'm on TV.
Yeah.
I guess I'm in the entertainment industry. I'm going to shut it off here. Let's go get drunk. Bye.
This has been a Podcast One production. Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. And I bet it can be hard work. You know what's easy? Bundling policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowners or renters insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around your home. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com.
Love listening to this podcast? I love that you're here to listen. Do you ever wonder what it's like to create a listening experience like this week to week? Do your friends always tell you that you should have a podcast? Well, now is your chance. Our podcast network, Podcast One, is looking for the next podcast star. Think it could be you? Enter the self-made podcast competition now to find out. All you have to do is visit launchpad1.com/selfmade for a chance to win a contract with Podcast One, valued at over $100,000 in promotion and so much more. Enter now until September 3rd and tell all of your friends to listen and download. Go to launchpad1.com/selfmade to find out more, see official rules, and sign up for your chance to win. That's launchpad1.com/selfmade.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, and welcome to T-Pain's Nappy Boy Radio Podcast, the most fun you'll ever listen to while you're folding your clothes. Now let's get this straight, this is not your average podcast. T-Pain's Nappy Boy Radio is super fun, super crazy. It's pretty much an in-your-face conversation. That's the good thing about us. We don't do interviews, we do conversations. All of my guests, all of my co-hosts, we chill, we drink, we play games, we have the song of the week, we have the creative curse word of the week, as long as you're having fun as our guest. Speaking of guests, each week I'm going to go through my whole contact list and dive head first into the world of music, gaming, exotic cars, tech, strippers probably, doctors probably strippers that are only stripping so they can pay for tuition to become a doctor. You never know. My wife is a certified bartender. She'll make you a drink while you're here. We'll get you drunk and make you play VR after. It's a lot going on. But that's what it's all about over here at T-Pain's Nappy Boy Radio Podcast. See you soon, baby!
Yo, what's good? It's your boy, Big Brother Jake, a.k.a. Jake Warner, my government name. Check it out. I host a show called the Big Brother Jake Podcast, and I've taken my talents to the biggest and baddest platform on the planet. That's right, baby. Podcast One. My show is unique as I talk about everything. Life, sports, entertainment, being a single dad juggling several jobs. I'm a hot mess, but it's damn entertaining. Subscribe and review now on Apple Podcasts and listen on Podcast One or wherever you get your podcasts.